hope you had wonderful holidays. You all enjoyed. So those one here in person as well as all of viewers. So it's happening simultaneously. It's online, and you probably don't see many gadgets now because better gadgets have been set up, proper cameras, etc. So whatever is happening here is being streamed live as well. So hello to all our viewers online, and very warm welcome to all of you, and special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. So anybody aware of the theme this evening? Oh, you just came because you normally like to come. So the theme is journeying within. So how to take this journey within. So what I'm going to share is share a few thoughts, then we'll have reflective sessions, and share a little bit, and then have reflective sessions in between. So let's begin. So it's journey within. So as we embarked on the new year, and for some of us it feels like, is it a new year? You know, except maybe the year from 21 to 22. Is there anything too different? Not really, is it? Externally, it's not like it's suddenly become brighter or it's suddenly become more less chaotic or less demanding. But, you know, we have to take these opportunities to make sure that we are able to maintain that enthusiasm. It's like a festive season, right? Just we had, you know, holidays for Christmas and then coming up to New Year. But how can we continue to have that throughout the year? Because so often it's like, even by sometimes second, third, fourth, people are saying, oh, it's already gone. You know, the charm of the New Year is already gone, and for some don't even notice this. But it's not about whether it's that month or another month, but how can we have that newness and enthusiasm throughout the year? So that's what we're here for. And the very first thing we'd like to start with is learning to journey within. I was just remembering a little incident, a real incident that happened. It was a group of meditators, and there was a leader and others who were learning to meditate. They were by beach, and you know, there was where there was scorpions and crabs and other things like that. And as they started to approach this group of meditators, you know, these new ones who were learning to meditate, they all got scared, and they started to run and protect themselves. But they saw that the person who was training them did not run. He just sat there, more focused. And so once somehow they shooed them off, and they were all okay. And then they asked the leader, the trainer, that how come you weren't disturbed? How come you didn't run away? We were all trying to run away and protect. So this, you ran and I ran too. You ran externally out there, and I ran within. So I went within. And I guess that's the approach to bring more and more in our lives, isn't it? That rather than just trying to fix things externally, if we learn to kind of empower ourselves by journeying within, then we will find that we'll have better response and better luck with our whatever we're doing. Thank you, that's better. So what we would like us to think about and talk about is, for those of you in here that can't see, I would like to just for you to look at the back at one of the posters that we're going to be focusing on. Many of you have already seen it, is the anatomy of thoughts. Because our online viewers are able to see that. That's for you, the anatomy of thoughts. And the very first faculty of ourselves is about learning to understand how our mind works. Because journey within is about learning to see what is it that is our creation, and how, if we can discipline it, can change it, make it more positive, then our lives will always be more positive. The things that we think about, the things we attract. Yeah, so often we keep thinking that I don't want to be sad, or I don't want hardships. We complain, and because we complain about hardships, more of them come. Do you agree? So it's a bit like that. So as a being of light, as a spiritual being, we have these three faculties, and one of our very first faculty is our power to think, which we refer to or know as our mind. So mind can create positive thoughts, is able to create negative thoughts, negative emotions, feelings, and also, could be wasteful or necessary. So these are four broad categories of thoughts we can have. So positive, negative, necessary, or waste. And which one we want to focus on is, of course, positive thoughts. So if I understand that I am the creator of my thoughts, and also that I have a choice, then I'm able to manage my thoughts better. Because so often we think that I don't have a choice. But if I remember that I do have a choice, and at the end of the day, it's up to me whether I want to think positively or have waste thoughts or negative thoughts. But as a meditator, as a person on a spiritual journey, the one that we really need to focus on is about learning not to have waste thoughts. Because it's waste that then turns into negativity. It doesn't always start with being negative, because that's easy to detect. But waste thoughts are thoughts that are untimely, thoughts that are unnecessary, thoughts that are, not productive, thoughts that are repetitive, thoughts that are useless. They're like time pass, and in fact, time waste. So often when we say we're just passing time, but are we passing time or are we wasting time? It's a question to ask. Waste thoughts is, when we think of like, why does a person wear such clothes, or why do they wear shoes or boots or slippers, whatever it may be? Does it really matter to me? If it does, if I want to go and buy one, or if I want to invest in one, or if I want to do something with it, then let me put my energy into it. But otherwise, why? So why do they eat food like this? Why do they like this? Or why do they talk like that? Why do they think like that? See, so often we want people to be like us. But I often say, like, say if you were going to watch a movie, and if everybody in the movie is playing the same role, would you like that, Penny? No, we like variety. And it is good that we're different. Yeah, okay, to have certain set of rules, etc. But it's good we're different. So learning to understand this faculty of mind, that I am the creator of my thoughts, and I have a choice. And I choose to think positively. And so learning to journey within. In the blurb that's there on the leaflet, is how we can just very quickly look back at our old habits or patterns of actions and reactions that we've had, and how we can change and bring habits, new responses. And it is something we do for quite some time, then it becomes a habit. This year is very special for all of us, and since last year we've been reminded at our regular students, people, souls on the advanced level, those who've done the Raj Yoga meditation course, and regularly every kind of daily students, that as much as possible add extra hours of meditation. And so from 1st of June, or even a little bit before that, we've been trying to do a bit more extra than our usual. Coming up to next weekend, 16th to 18th, 18th being the Memorial Day of our founding father, those 3 days is even going to be intense. And it is that collective thoughts, and it's not that we have to do it together, wherever we are, just paying that extra importance and extra focus for ourselves. And why am I sharing with you? So that you can also be part of it if you'd like to. Say if you're doing half an hour, if you could add a couple of hours more to it, or as much as you can. So this is the aim, that it's like, when the momentum builds up, then the change happens. So if I, from the very beginning of the year, am able to keep that attention, then whatever I'd like to see happen, which for years may haven't happened, but it can happen. And if I have that trust and faith, as speaking to somebody, one of the sisters who recently, gone through a physical illness and in fact had to be operated, but within a little short time, she's overcome it. Like her determination, her courage, and everybody's good wishes, God's help. The doctor today, when she saw her, says, I don't need to see you anymore. Just keep exercising and very soon you'll be back to being normal. But otherwise it was kind of a major fall that she had. So the determination, the willpower, the courage. And then, okay, as when we start to think about it, there will be a lot of obstacles coming, but also there will be lots who will help to do that. So always remember, let's look up onto people who are going to help us to achieve that. So what I'm now going to do is going to have a short reflection, and you can visualize your favorite natural spot. Could be the rivers by, sunset, sunrise, whatever comes to your mind, whatever may be your favorite sacred space. So go within, taking your thoughts within. I take this time for myself. I remind myself that I am a being of light. A living being. I am life. I quickly look at my recent past. Say the year gone. And see what I have achieved, things that made me happy. And how I can do more of it. Keep visualizing that you are in that sacred space. Remember that beautiful spot where you can be yourself. at all the positive things that you've achieved. And maybe also some of the ones that you weren't so pleased with honesty, but without guilt or shame. So from now on, as if setting my mind to focus on my strength and to build upon it. I love myself. I want to be kind to myself. Because I understand, as is my relationship with myself, so will be my relationship with others. Bring back my attention to where I am. Now we're going to look at our second faculty, which is our inner wisdom. Our ability to see what is right and what's not, what's beneficial and what's harmful. Our inner voice telling us, do this, don't do this. Go here, don't try this. It's so often that inner friend who's always guiding us is the one that we like to ignore. Yeah? Because, we probably want to continue what the society expects of us, habituated to doing. But sessions like this is really learning to take that break and to listen to inner voice. And trust me, that inner voice is not stopping us. It's not going to make us slack, or it's not going to make us not take decisions quickly. In fact, that inner wisdom allows us to take the wise decision, and this is why we then don't have to waste time regretting things we do wrong and then have to correct. But if we get it right from the very first time, it's accurate, more competent, better, where there's win-win situations. So that voice, in Hindi we call it the buddhi. You're very familiar with the word Buddha. So the one who is enlightened. So there is that faculty who's able to bring us the enlightenment, all of us. And we have access to it, but we just don't listen to it. so often. It's a time to make sure that we learn to listen to ourselves, our inner voice. And to add to it, that actually it is also our willpower. Because once you have a desire to do something right, or something good, something useful, you also need the courage and willpower. As I was talking about the sister, that, who would want to be sick? But then you also have to have the courage and the determination and the willpower to do everything that is necessary to get on your feet right away, or as soon as you can. Similarly, some of our old habits, our patterns, that has been stopping us from being ourselves. And anything we do which is not ourselves is actually in some way making us sad, will not bring us happiness. So it may be convenient, it may what we've been doing for a long time, but it is actually not giving us the happiness that we deserve. So if I understand that, and if I remind myself of that, then my focus would be on doing what that inner voice tells me is correct. And so we don't ignore it. We don't just carry on because, that's what happens in our family, that's what happens in the society, that's what happens at work. But no, I gathered that courage to be who I want to be, or who I am. And as we talk about arrogance, but it's about being brave. Because so often it's not the others who pull us down. It is our own doubt and our own abilities that bring us down. So as we learn to believe in our own ability to achieve, because it's very simple that once I know that this is right, I also have that I have the ability. God has gifted me with that ability. And as I connect with the higher source and take power from the higher source, will be achieved. Yes, certain things, of course, I may need patience. Certain things I may need to wait, but it's not that it doesn't happen. It will happen quite soon, sooner than I expect. But when we continue working and thinking based on our old ways, what happens is the harm that we're doing is to ourselves more than anybody else. And what comes to my mind right away is the harm we do is about, bringing that trust in ourselves, lessening that trust. So then we think, no, I do this, and then something will happen, and I say, I told you I should do this. So what's this like? We're kind of emphasizing that it's right to be wrong, in a way. And so we're kind of depleting ourselves of our own true energy, our own true strength. And the layers and layers build up. And those layers then are guiding our current thinking. So that's the anatomy of consciousness. We have thoughts, then you go through the filter of that wisdom of right or wrong, and then we perform actions. And then actions leave an imprint, and they guide our subconscious. Our subconscious guides our conscious mind. But here we're talking about the second faculty, which is that inner voice. And in meditation, though our aim is to think positively, but also is to awaken that buddhi. In English, the word is intellect. And it's not about being academically intellectual, but it's about being wise. And it's learning to awaken that wisdom that we all give it, but we just don't often remember, or we don't give it enough value. We think it's going to slow us down. You know, it's like people think, let me think if I should do or not. Say, oh, you slow it. You know, you will not be able to take decisions. Not true. Often that half a second or a second or even a minute of taking that time to take the right decision will save you from hours of regret. And the time that you have to spend on rectifying what goes wrong. And it's our inner voice that is comforting, that is telling us that you can do it. But when we ignore it, it's like putting our buddhi to sleep, our inner wisdom to sleep. And that is our protection. And if you don't have protection, then what happens is, we're attracting wrong things. And then there is reactions, there is sadness, that then leads into various things which are not right worldwide. But where does it all start from? Us. So this is the journey within. Understanding how my mind works, and then understanding the buddhi, the intellect. So we're going to have another short few moments. I'll share a few thoughts. And let's look at our second faculty, the inner wisdom. Call it the buddhi, the intellect, my inner voice, and most importantly, the willpower. So I look back. On this journey of life, my recent past, and maybe some scenes of distant past. Let me take moments to recall some of them, the good ones and also not ones. So very briefly, if you recall that situations, how did you feel? If it was that you felt you were your positive self, your better self, what worked? What were your strengths? Was it courage? Was it patience? What was it? So underline your strengths. Be aware of the gifts that you're blessed with. Now let's look at situations we were not very pleased with their outcome. With honesty, but without guilt or shame, just like a neutral observer. What is it that I need to strengthen? I need to exercise. Was it that I lacked courage to be myself? Was it that I was disrespectful? Was it that I didn't understand the needs of others? What was it? So let me take this time to see the lessons I've learned. And not down. What is it I could do differently? Remember, be honest. There's no need for any guilt or shame. What is it that's stopping me from being myself, my true self, my real self? Thank you. Kind attention, and when you're ready, you can come back to where you are. And I'd like you to do this exercise on your own as well, as often as you can. But remember, let there be honesty, but at the same time, it's not that you're going to beat your head about it. It's not about kind of punishing yourself, but it's just about that I can do better. And it's more honorable to do it differently. So whatever I gave in to my own weaknesses, or I was influenced by others, or I was gripped with situations, whatever it may be. It had to happen, it happened. And I learned from there. It's now time to move on. So with this understanding of the anatomy of consciousness, how our mind works, and secondly, the filter of using this inner wisdom to see what is right and what is wrong. And then coming into action. Because every action that we perform leaves an impression. Some impressions are like line in water. It's here today, gone next moment. Like from this morning till now, you probably met, hopefully, hundreds of people, walking past, driving, on the bus, public transport, whatever means of transport you would have used. And you would have seen somebody wear a red cardigan, somebody a blue jumper, somebody who's different handbags. All these impressions were there. Do you remember any of them? Mostly not, right? So some impressions are there that second and then gone. But some you may even have seen from distance. Wow, that handbag looks so beautiful. It's exactly what I'm looking for. I wonder where they got it from. Do you see? And then you kind of couldn't get hold of them and probably couldn't approach them. Then you start looking at the internet, or you talk to your friends. I'm needing this kind of handbag. Do you know where you'd get it? Do you see how impression then leads into our further patterns of thinking? Okay, let's take another scenario. That there is, something or someone you met, they said something or did something that has left an impression. And then in a different setup altogether, you just happen to see somebody with similar physical appearance. What does your memory remind you? That person was so good, they did this, they were so kind. And this person you don't even know, and they're probably the opposite end up as to the person you know. And it could be the other person you had seen were bad and they're good. Or, nothing like good and bad, but you know what I mean. But you see how the memories that are left in our subconscious guides our conscious mind. And it's a bit like the iceberg. It's the undercurrents of the iceberg that decide the iceberg moves. It's not the current on the top. So our conscious mind is like the currents up there, and our subconscious mind is like the currents underneath. And often it's the impressions of past that will guide our conscious mind. And this is why it is very important, from time and time again, try not to allow anything that is negative, that is not so useful, that's not as beneficial, to stay in your subconscious. But even if it has somehow sneaked in, then use the filter of the buddhi, the intellect, the inner wisdom, to clean the subconscious. Often we were told, buildings, the rooftop, they have gutters. And it's not the gutter where the water it probably does, the rainwater. But often the leaves get into it, and that's where the leaks come from. Just clean them. But if you don't clean it for so long, what happens then? So that's why if our subconscious mind, always then a negative impressions are left within. And anything that is not so good, then it spreads quite quickly. Errors that we've been seeing and hearing about. It just multiplies, it's infectious, it's contagious. And it won't let you stay in peace. So sooner that we're able to get rid of it, it's better for us. So in this new year, we may not know exactly at this point what is it that we need to do. How to. But at least if we take this decision, make these decisions for ourselves that this, and this is what I'm going to focus on. Where I sense that I am, jealous of somebody, or I am envious of someone, look at myself, what is it that I need to do? I need to stay in my own self-respect. I need to remind myself that God's gifted me with a lot more things that many others don't have. It's not about being arrogant, but it's about counting our blessings. Say, I have impatience. Then let me be more patient. Because we know our trends, and hopefully the exercise we've just done would have allowed you to see some of them anyway. And if you try these exercises at home, you'll see a lot more. So make a note of it. Sometimes we have this habit of procrastinating. Sometimes we have habit of wanting to prove that we are right. And maybe we probably mean well for others, but we want to impose that. We want them to accept it right away. But then I need to step back and have patience. It's not that I stop having good wishes, but I need to have patience. They will do it at their own pace, at their own time, with their own understanding, and with my good wishes. So often to bring something to happen, for some good to happen, we use kind of anger, we use impatience, these very strong things. And then we think, why has good not happened? Like one of the examples that sometimes I give is, see you cooking for your loved ones, and suddenly your child comes and says, wants your attention, and then you say, can't you see I'm cooking? But if you stop for a moment, who are you cooking for? But you see, we want the meal to be on the table in time for the family, but it's for the family that we're cooking. So yes, if there is a bit of interruption, that's okay. And then I find a way without being impatient and, harsh. Maybe we're not harsh, but we certainly put the child, make sure that they understand that they're disturbing us. Yeah, and then when the child comes to the table and is all sulking, and then it's like, you have no gratitude. I've worked hard to cook this meal for you, and you're not even enjoying. But it's equally ours, isn't it? That we were not able to tell the child or explain to the child that maybe we'll be able to give more time at another point. And we have to find that time and attention that they need. And in fact, okay, you want to be with me, maybe you can pass me this or pass me that. So in that way you can be in my company, but at the same the meal done in time. So just giving you a very practical example, you can kind of translate and use this in your own other situations. And as I'm saying to you, I'm also talking to myself, because when we share with each other, it's actually reminding ourselves. And what is very important in any change to happen is the art of listening. Art of listening our own needs to begin with. And when I say needs, it's not about I want so many things and I want this much comfort, but we have needs, but sometimes we're not able to share with others. Sometimes we think we don't have the right to. But even for a long time, if we haven't shared, now is the time to learn to share. And first few times they will say, because we have not shared for years in a family setup or at work, or people are going to say, she started to talk these days, isn't it? They maybe even put you down. But as you continue to share your thoughts, at some point there will be an understanding and be taken on board. But otherwise what happens, I'm just sharing with what I feel was one of my weaknesses, was not able to kind of speak up when I need to. But in the last few years, I have understood that, and it's not been easy, I tell you, but I've kept the courage to do. So often, yes, still not understood, but more and more, I find there is a good response. And in fact, valued. Not just heard, but valued. And so, it's a win-win situation. They're sensing a benefit in my bringing them to attention what I can see, but they cannot see. So, the faculty of the consciousness, the mind, the buddhi, the intellect, and our subconscious mind. These are methods to learn to journey within, but also then to connect with the higher source, our true friend, our true guide. And in your own way, like spend time with yourself, reflecting, meditating, journaling. Finish your day with something very positive. Start your day with some positive thoughts. If possible, at least 20 minutes to half an hour of your day, the beginning of the day, should be for yourself. And even if it means that you have to wake up a bit early, because maybe your family commitment starts quite early on, but that's okay. Give that time to yourself. You set your day just like it is setting from the beginning of the year, but set every day with something positive, and you'll find that it will continue to be reminding you that that's what you've thought about. So it's good to plan for the day. These are the things I'd like to focus. You have a general bigger plan, but also you have daily plan and you have a weekly plan. And I'm not talking about kind of laborious notes, etc., but just simply in your mind even, that this is what I like to focus on. 2-3 things in a day. If you were to focus on 2 or 3 positive things in a day, imagine by the end of the year, there's so many positive things that we will be gifted with, that we will be enhancing in ourselves. Okay, now we'll finish with another reflection. So sit back relaxed. taking my thoughts within. As a neutral and detached observer, I look at my own path of thinking and interacting. Just as the example that was shared earlier, this pipe or the gutter that has attracted a lot of leaves sitting there rotting. And not allowing the water to flow. So what are the things that I'm holding on to? There's something in the way I perceive. Or maybe it is something that I'm aware of. I just cannot stop myself from coming into reactions. Maybe it is the habit of sharing and harming somebody else through my words. Not aware of people's needs. Because I haven't even given time to myself. And now I understand that as I become gentle with myself, I'm more loving. I'm more gentle and loving with others. I want to be myself, but now I know that I have to allow others to be who they are. I can share and guide, but no expectations. Same time, I want to listen to what others have to say. With our connection with the higher source and listening to my inner voice, I now know what I have to do Maybe I still am not aware exactly how I'm going to do it. But I have this determined thought. I want to do it. And I know it will happen. I'd like to cleanse anything in my subconscious that's not allowing me to grow. Something that bothered me when it happened. It may be okay for that time. I don't need to hold on to it anymore, no matter how difficult it may seem to let it go. I give permission to let it go. I feel free. There's that flow of love and energy. I can be myself. I also remember and help others to be themselves too. And what they think very different to the way I think, that I know the real joy and beauty is when we are different. It's our strength. And when there is that mutual love and respect, there is the win-win situation. I'm flying. I'm happy. And I'm confident that my future is better than today. I can be carefree but not careless, attentive but not stressed. I learn to enjoy being in my own presence. My own company. As I accept myself with my strengths and my shortcomings, I know the world will accept me as I am, with the aim to help each other to grow and to empower. I now gently gently bring back my attention to where I am. Thank you for your kind attention, and I hope to see your strengths and a few things that you may need to work a bit on. So, same time, same place next week. It's again another reflective sessions. And our shop will be open for a few minutes if you'd like to browse. And most of our other courses are still online, but you're free to come and visit our shop or the quiet room or the talks on Tuesday evenings. Until, of course, for any reason the guidelines change, but that's the one what is so far at the moment. So, greetings of peace. Om Shanti. Thank you. And a very happy new year once again.